Okay. I feel like I've always been plagued with irritating self-awareness. And it has been a roadblock in my life and a hindrance in my life for most of my life, honestly. I think that a lot of the time people feel the need to put themselves into categories or put themselves into boxes. For example, we think about how we were raised, our values, who we are, our hobbies, all of that, all of that, all of that. And we assign ourselves these overarching identifiers that are just unnecessary, one. And two, it's putting unnecessary pressure on ourselves because human beings are not characters in books. We're not written out to just exhibit these specific traits. We're very nuanced and we're ever changing literally every single day. We can't be completely defined because we're alive and we're changing. I actually didn't decide to stop defining myself because of Sartre's philosophy. I decided to stop defining myself, and then I did some research and discovered Sartre's philosophy, and I was like, yeah, literally, yeah, exactly that. According to Sartre's philosophy, we are not objects that can be described or constrained to definition. We're simply flows of consciousness and spontaneity. And acting as though you're something that can be predefined and boxed up under specific traits or characteristics is acting in bad faith, because that doesn't allow for human experience. It doesn't allow for spontaneous experience. Why not just live? Why not just exist, and then literally everybody else is going to see the way you behave and define you based on that? Doing that internally is going to hinder you from living. It's going to stop you from exploring, and it's going to stop you from reaching different heights and reaching different experiences that you would have if you didn't have these unnecessary roadblocks for yourself and for your life. I'm not quoting him directly, but that's kind of what I gleaned from his philosophy. And yeah, there's so much I haven't experienced just because I've been perpetually self-aware of me being a human being going through the stages of life and the effect of each stage of life on the next, and all my decisions and all my actions and all the traits I exhibit. I've just put myself under a microscope my entire life, and it's been exhausting, and it's been stressful, and it's been depressing at times. And it has robbed me of living for a long time. Like, I can say throughout high school, I never did anything because I was just so hyper aware of everything I did. Not even in a self-conscious way, but more in like a cynical way, where everything just felt so reduced and so fake. Everything I did almost felt like I was performing because I could see myself from the outside. It was so weird. I can't even describe it. But yeah, this self-awareness, hyper self-awareness, it's literally incompatible with living a full life, because we're not meant to be subjects of our own experiment. And I found that the only way to free myself from the plague of self-awareness is just to give up. It's just to give up, you know? And I'm always going to be self-aware. I remain self-aware. I think people actually should be self-aware, to some extent. But I have, instead of trying to become somebody that can define myself or somebody that can explain myself or analyze myself. I've instead become an observer. Another thing that kind of affects is also the way you see yourself physically. Assigning the way you look to yourself in your own mind doesn't allow you to just exist. And I think people are just allowed to exist. You know, people should be just allowed to exist. Like, just, I look in the mirror sometimes and I look terrible, you know, and I'm like, it's fine. I look like this sometimes too. That's also me. Literally just vibe. Like, I think it's toxic to look at yourself and say, I have to be feminine and I have to be beautiful and I have to be soft. Because then in those moments where you're masculine and you're ugly and you're more tough or more firm, you feel a sense of guilt. I felt a sense of guilt, you know. When I was younger, I had this misconception of what I had to be or the traits I assigned myself, and I was like, I'm a woman, so I have to be feminine, and I have to be beautiful, and I have to be graceful, and I have to be kind and soft. So in those moments where I was more masculine and more clumsy and more tough and uglier and less appealing, I felt guilty because I was like, I'm not allowed to exist this way. But that's bullshit. You're allowed to exist in any single form that you are. You're allowed to exist in any way. Just because everybody else assigns a trait to you doesn't mean you have to assign it to yourself. Don't feel any sense of guilt or any sense of betraying your identity. You're nuanced. You don't have to be a thing. Today's painting is called In Reclaim. It's a painting depicting how eventually nature is going to reclaim everything. Or maybe it's depicting how I hope that nature reclaims everything eventually. And these are the sketches for it and the outlines. This is the background, and then this is going to be the foreground. And hopefully I'm done before I feel like posting this video, because honestly, if I don't finish it but I want to post the video, I'm probably just going to do that and finish it in the next video. But I'm really excited about it. And I'll show you some of my progress. It's going to be of a car parked on a bridge, and there's going to be plants and greenery and all leafy things just growing out of it and consuming it in a way. And then in the foreground, there's going to be a person also being consumed by nature. And it's kind of a comforting thought for me to just think that at the end of the day, we're all going to go back to nature, you know? Like, we can build all these buildings and we can have all these cars and all this automation and all of that, but I like to imagine that eventually people will be gone and it'll just be green everywhere. It sounds morbid, but it's actually a nice thought. I don't try to find definite meaning behind every single thing I do anymore, because I don't know the meanings of most things that I do, and it's literally just torturing myself. So instead, I just allow myself to actually do what I want to do. I do what I want. I do what I find fun. I do what I find fulfilling. I do what I find to be morally correct, something that will give me a moral peace of mind. I just behave in the way that brings me the most peace of mind. And I observe those actions afterwards and I say, well, I guess that's who I am. I don't have to find any extra meaning. I don't have to find any extra analysis but I just am a collective of the things that I like and the things that I do. And that's it. That's literally the end of the definition. It doesn't go further than that. It doesn't go, oh, I'm a collective of the things that I do, and the things that I do mean that I am. No, no, no. I'm just a collective of all the things that I like, all the things that I do, all the things that I say, and that is the end of my definition. I don't try to take it any further than that. And it's been so healing. It's been like a freaking piano has been taken off of my chest. If we put awareness and analysis before existence, then there'll be no existence at all. It has to be existence first, and then based on that existence and based on those experiences and those actions that you've already taken, then you can observe yourself and get to know yourself. But if you lead with self-awareness, if you go into every situation just aware of what decision you're making and what vibe you're giving off and the things that you're saying, then you're not going to have anything to observe. You're not going to have anything to even analyze at the back end of it, because you didn't do anything. You ruined the experiment even by leading with self-awareness. If you're in a subject in an experiment, which you're not, the whole point of this, what I'm saying is that we're not subjects in experiments and we shouldn't treat ourselves that way. But for the purpose of this discussion, let's say you're a subject in an experiment, right? And as the subject, if I already know I'm being experimented on, and if I already know I'm being analyzed, I'm not going to behave freely. I'm not going to behave as I normally would. So therefore, the results of the experiments are ruined because it's just been completely contaminated. That's a completely contaminated experiment. The subject being aware of the analysis just ruins the entire thing. So why do that? Why ruin the experience of life for yourself? I just think that it's better to just have self-awareness on a back burner. Leave it till the end of the day. Leave it till the end of the month. It helps here and there, but perpetual self-awareness just ruins the entire experience. And I think the end of this journey is going to be somebody that is a combination of so many different experiences, so many different traits, so many different characteristics and hobbies and archetypes. And then that person at the end of our life, when we die, the combination of all the things that we've done and all the people we've interacted with and all the things we've said, then that can define you. But I think during the journey, you're not defined yet. You're not defined until you die, in my opinion. And every single day, we should try to be better, because what if we die and then this is who we are? If I die today, I'm defined by what everybody else has seen me do and seen me behave and seen me act like. You know, like, you can't keep waiting to be who you want to be tomorrow, because you could die today and then you would never get to be that, and then you're just who you are. You have to keep growing and keep changing and keep redefining yourself until you're completely happy with who you are. I think that I'm at a point where I think that if I died, God forbid, knock on wood, but if I died, I would be satisfied with the person that I am right now, in this very moment. This, who I am right now, would define me, because there's no continued change after that, you know? And I think until that point of death, you can be whoever you want to be. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter who you've been up to this point. You shouldn't have a sunken cost fallacy of being like, oh, I've already defined myself like this, I can't change. No, if you're unsatisfied with who you are right now, or the role that you fill right now in your life and in other people's lives, change that and be somebody else tomorrow. And you can keep doing that over and over and over and over again until you die. There's no limit on that. We're just supposed to exist and continue changing and growing literally until we die. So don't stunt that growth, don't stunt that change by assigning yourself a trait and assigning yourself a life and a role that you feel unsatisfied with. Um, yeah. So to everybody watching, I hope that you continue to grow and change and become better every day. I hope that you free yourself from assigning yourself traits and roles that can't fully encapsulate who you are. No word can really describe a full person internally, you know. And I hope that to everybody, whenever we die, I hope we're all very happy and satisfied with who we are at that moment.